Oh, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
Woo! Just a special flower to match your ensemble.
You're getting weirder in your old age.
You know what, Aaron? We just light up the show with a bang every time someone tunes on because I distract you and we're like, what are you doing?
Tunes on, huh? All the people tuning on.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a wordsmith right now. But tell me, you went out of town and your children did good. Your son was there. He's 18, but no keg parties, no high school movie.
He's 17.
Okay.
No, he's in Theater in the Park right now, so he's busy doing Theater in the Park. So if anybody is open this week, his show runs through Sunday. Bye Bye Birdie at Theater in the Park. Go see it.
What character is he in? Bye Bye Birdie.
He's in the ensemble.
Oh, I
All
gotcha.
adults, and then there's just a few teenagers and a few kids that got chosen. So really big deal.
Yeah, so I grew up in a family of all boys, and I sat through my first 3-hour dance recital. And, your children are only there for like a moment in time, but you're there for the whole performance.
Yeah.
It was something incredibly new. Now I can kind of empathize when people show up to a baseball field and they're there for an entire weekend, but they only see a couple games. So it's like, it's the same thing, it's just different.
It's not the same thing because I have theater kids and I thank God every day because with the 6'3" son, we could have really been sitting outside at stuff and at least I get to sit inside at stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not July. You're not sweating.
Yeah.
I've psyched myself out this year and I'd love to know what the audience thinks, but I'm scared of summer. I feel like it's going to be so hot and it hasn't been yet. So knock on wood.
No, it definitely hasn't. Yeah, so welcome to My Life with Recital. She gets older, she'll be in more stuff. Now we're at the point that it's like every other dance. So then you still got to stay the whole time, but you get to see more of your kid.
Yeah. If there's a performance, if there's a game, you just never know if your kid delivers. But Aaron, do you know who delivers all the time, 100% of the time? Bestway International does. And our boss, Riley Wiles, knows it. From sea to sea, from Australia to Cincinnati, they deliver. And if you need someone to move something big, they got you.
That can't be their tag. That's not their tagline, is it?
No, but I feel like the more that I butcher our sponsor, Bestway International, the more people are going to remember, or they're going to be like, I got to Google this company. I got to Google it.
I'm looking there up. I think it's doing business the right way is the best way. That's
that's what I was thinking.
Not from sea to sea, from whatever you said to Cincinnati.
So here's the deal. What I do is I come in with the marketing and then insert Lillian James, Aaron Fulk, or our guests. And we tell our guests every time before they come on, I go, you'll see how bad I am and you'll just know how good you'll do. So I set the bar low so they can do great.
Oh, okay. Well, let's get them up here then. All right. I'm super excited. Hold on. Let's play our terrible music. Let me get
it's best music. You know it.
Also, we need you to tell us, are you watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube? It looks like Paul's watching upside down because he's doing a cake stand. I can do that. All right. Here we go. The order tired. Our friend and Nick. There we are. Hi, guys.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, let's get started. Brad, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Good afternoon, Brad Holliday. Let's see. I came back here in 2010, got back home to the Kansas City area. Was lucky enough to be brought back home to help found a home infusion company in the health industry. And that's where I stayed until a few years ago.
And then we're at big company to go from there, Brad. And I know you've been on the show. This is your third time coming on the show, so the audience knows you. But one, how did the infusion company go? And then tell us about that next leap.
Home Infusion Company was a blockbuster success. I'd say it was one of the greatest rocket ship rides that I've had. We had this great plan, and we exceeded that plan. We sold the company in 5 years to United Health. I went from that company into another startup called Caravan Health that was in the ACO space. Caravan Health recently sold to Synergy Health. And let's see, I went from Caravan I went to a small company down in Branson for a few months, and then to SkillPath, which SkillPath, a lot of folks in Kansas City may know that name, a big building down at Shawnee Mission Parkway and Metcalf. I was blanking on the address. Big buildings down there. World leader in training and development, professional development. And then just a couple months ago, I joined over here at Marketplace Animal Hospital, which is the largest privately owned animal hospital here in the Kansas City area. And this has been a delightful change of pace for me. After being in healthcare for 30 years, it's been just a wonderful change. My wife has been in animal health, or was in animal health, for many, many years until she had breast cancer. And when they took the lymph nodes all on that side, they told her if she ever got bit or scratched on that left arm, there's nothing to prevent an infection from going straight to her heart. And she was one of those few people that I've ever met who truly loved what she did for a living. And now I see why. The people that I am hiring here, and I saw this in healthcare, people work in healthcare, they're called for a higher reason, a higher calling. That same higher calling, it's there for people that work in animal health too. People love animals, and it's a pretty special thing. And when I can walk by and get a little pet, or the greatest thing is when one of our patients nuzzles me when I walk by. That's not something you get in healthcare every day. So it's pretty cool.
What's the wildest animal that you guys got? Just one word answer. Wildest animal you guys have treated there?
The wildest here? Well, we're a small animal practice, but I would say the wildest is we had a dog that was out of control. So dog.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like a possum or something.
No, not here.
I don't know what I thought you were going to say, but I saw a fox on the street the other day, and I got very scared. Okay, Nick, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Hello, everyone. Nick McLean with Four Pillars Investors. We're a private equity firm that I founded along with my partner back in about 2015. I've bounced around a lot. However, I consider myself being from Kansas City. Actually grew up in the St. Joseph area, went to college in a few different places and whatnot, but I've always considered Kansas City home and have been back here since about 2009.
You probably get the question a lot, like, I want to be in private equity. Do you ever give people the track that you had to take of thousands of meetings for the acquisitions that you found? How do you break it down for young people when they're like, Nick, I want to be in private equity?
Well, there's really two sides to that question. It's younger folks that want to work in the private equity industry, as well as folks that are mid to late careers that want to buy a business. And so the advice or the path is totally different as you can expect. But as it relates to folks that are trying to buy a business, you're exactly right. It is thousands of companies that you have to talk to. There are so many reasons why an M&A deal falls apart. A small percentage of those are within your control, and those are the ones that you have to manage. But I tell you what, I've had a lot of deals fall apart on me throughout my career, and some of them are just head scratchers.
Yeah, I always say a deal is not a deal until it dies 9 times. And so for you, what are the businesses that you've either currently bought or you're focused on buying next?
So if you look at our portfolio at present, I would say it's overweight in manufacturing. I think all of us can appreciate that in Kansas City, you can't walk too far without running into a manufacturing firm. And also my undergrad's in industrial engineering, which is centered around manufacturing. So it's a good fit there. Really, though, we are industry agnostic. What we found is that a lot of companies in the size range that we play, which is, let's call it 20 million of revenues to maybe 250 million of revenues, a lot of companies in that size all suffer from the similar types of issues when they're trying to take that next step of growth, whether it's lack of sophistication within sales and marketing, maybe it's an ownership group that has invested for 20 or 30 years, but now they're ready to take some chips off the table. A lot of different reasons, but that's why that's where we feel like we can add some value, is stepping in, helping companies take that next 2, 3, 4, 5 steps of growth.
Have you ever had an animal outside of a dog in your household?
Oh, we have. We have a cat with only 3 legs, and we have a toad, which we've actually had for about 2 or 3 years now.
Not you having a crazier animal story than the animal guy.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, my wife's a little bit of a sucker for sad animal stories, and so this cat was abused and lost a limb, and so we of course had to take it in, and we also fostered a senior dog. It was a beagle, which I kind of love that breed, and we only had the beagle for, man, I don't know, 9 months or so, and then we had to put it down. And the real tough part is that we had to put the beagle down on the same day that my first child was born. So that was a roller coaster of emotions that day.
Oh.
That's why this show is organic. You never know what twists and turns come.
I don't even know what just happened. All right, are you ready for your question, Scott?
No. That's a good. We'll go to the next one.
Okay, your questions. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, I only have one responsibility. Brad, what was the most pivotal point in your career?
I would say that would have been, I'm probably not going to get the exact time right, but I was working for a company that was owned by Eli Lilly Corp. And we'd just been sold by Lilly to Rite Aid, and Rite Aid then had in turn sold us to a much smaller pharmacy benefit management company called Advanced Paradigm. And the head of HR at PCS called and asked me, he said, we need somebody to put these two companies together. You're the only HR person on the team that's got that experience of integrations. Can you do that? I said, well, sure. He said, are you willing to move to Scottsdale? And I was living in Minnesota at the time, and it was February, and you couldn't see my barbecue grill. And I said, well, don't even finish the sentence. When can the moving truck be here? And I was in a meeting a couple of weeks later, and the new president of this new company, he shared with us that he wanted to relocate. Our clinical division at the time was located up in Minneapolis, and he wanted to relocate the clinical division from Minneapolis down to Scottsdale or Dallas. And we had this whole group of clinical writers that were responsible for this product called RX Review. And the whole purpose of RX Review was it was a publication that went out to doctors to convince them to move patients who were taking a name brand medication off to a generic, and the efficacy of doing so, the clinical efficacy of doing so. And those clinical writers are hard to find. They're physicians, they're pharmacists, they're nurses who have decided they want to do something else with their medical knowledge. And we had about 103 or 104 of them. And when he finished that, this is my grand plan, he said, and we can't miss any revenue targets. And he looked across the conference room table and looked at me as the HR guy and said, and we can't miss any revenue targets. So I felt that this burden was on me. And that was a $70 million a year project. So long story short, we went about doing that, and I was able to pull that off and made that happen. I was promoted, got a promotion out of that 6 months later, and started leading the merger and acquisition team 6 months after that. So I would say that's where I really saw the hockey stick in my career as a result.
That's insane. For a second, I know that happened, but when you started the story, I thought you were going to lay off 100 people. So we were talking about, so that's a great ending of the story. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Nick, for you personally, what was the most pivotal point in your career?
For a long time, I wanted to be the CEO of some company early on in my career. Knew it wasn't going to happen overnight, but that was certainly the goal. At that time, I thought what that would look like was working for a very large company, rising through the ranks over the course of 20, 30 years. And, if I was lucky and worked hard enough and whatnot, maybe I would get to that corner office, so to speak. However, in grad school, which was the real pivotal point, I would say, got exposed to companies in the middle market, in the lower middle market, got exposed to private equity, investment banking, and realized that these types of companies were really what I thought were the most interesting and where I could have a real impact. At the time, I didn't think of myself as an entrepreneur because I never had an idea for a better mousetrap or a killer app. But there's a term that has been popularized since my time in grad school, which is entrepreneurship through acquisition. And that's the flavor of entrepreneurism that really resonates with me. And I will tell you, I consider myself very lucky to have found this path when I did, because I get in a job in a large company. I lasted for anywhere from 6 months to 18 months in probably 4 or 5 roles. And there's just no way I could have ever made it very far in any of those companies because, at the end of the day, just wanted something more entrepreneurial and had to go out and create it myself.
What was one thing that you didn't expect when you went on your entrepreneurial journey that was a curveball?
Well, what I would say is that one of the 4 pillars of our names is relationships as a cornerstone for success. That's something my partner and I firmly believe in. My expectations were that, we would do a couple of deals. If those deals went well, the capital groups that we work with, they would want to do essentially any deal that we brought them that, checked a few of their boxes. That's, for right, wrong, or indifferent on their part, that's not been our experience. While I would like to think that, or while I would have liked to have thought that the relationship was, 50, 75% of whether or not some of those investors and capital groups would do a deal. Unfortunately, I think it's 90% deal and 10% relationship. The relationship that our capital groups have with us, it's solid and it's good, and they know that if the deal checks the boxes, they'll want to do it with us. But unfortunately, that relationship is really not the driving factor. It's still the deal. I get it. It's just you asked for a learning, and that was definitely a learning for me.
Nice.
Interesting.
Now I don't know whose pet those are. Can't assume at this point.
That's right.
Awesome. Okay, guys, this is my favorite question. Are you guys ready? How are your 2024 goals going so far? I cannot believe we are halfway through the year. And how can the Kansas City community help you get them or help you this year? Brad?
Mine are pretty simple and straightforward. And that is, tapping into some great new talent for veterinary assistants and veterinary technicians. We're looking for great folks who are great with patients, and our patients here are the 4-legged variety, and clients, which clients are, you and I, the folks that care for those 4-legged patients when they're not inside these 4 walls, getting whatever care that they have to get when they're here to see us. So, they've got to be good with customer service skills with people and, putting up with the stuff that, you and I tend to do when we're the customers. So that's it for me, is really, help me with finding good folks.
I mean, your business is very diverse in terms of what you could bolt on or add on to. In terms of growing the business, what are acquisitions or types of verticals that you look into or your partners are looking into to grow revenue?
We're always looking at what can we do in terms of expanding things from whether it's additional dietary needs that we can meet for our patients. But one of the challenges that we have there is and I don't want to get too far outside of, what I can speak intelligently about, but I'm going to fall back on what I remember from my wife's bit as a certified animal nutritionist. There are some companies that really do know what they're doing when they say that they have a dog food that is formulated for a overweight dog. There are other dog food companies that will market that product with a label that isn't necessarily delivering that same kind of formula. I don't want to use any names, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And we need to be very cautious with that because, our doctors here go to school similarly to the doctors that treat you and I as humans. And so they want to make sure that they're giving medical advice that is benefiting our patients. So we have to be very cautious about how we expand those additional revenue lines and that it's backed by science. So that's where we're always looking to expand our revenue lines through those kinds of services.
Good job. Good job. Good job. Good job. You did it right on the time. Good job. All right. Nick, where are you on your 2024 goals and how can the Kansas City community help you get there?
Well, always part of our goals are closing acquisitions, and we're actively engaged in a few. So we're happy to report on that. Unfortunately, I can't ask the Kansas City community for too much help on those because largely that's up to myself and my team. However, what we observed in the private equity world is that there wasn't a lot of marketing that was being done at the private equity level. A lot of it was being done at the portfolio company level, but not at the principal level of the private equity firm. In order to try to change that, or because I saw an opening, launched a YouTube channel and also have developed or started releasing other types of content. Released an ebook on how to sell business, a few other things like that. But in terms of how the Kansas City community can help, it would really be to check out my YouTube channel. And I'm not just asking for people to watch it just to get view time or views or watch time or subscribers, but I'm really be open for some honest feedback. I'm trying to create content that helps business owners, that helps folks in business think about how to grow their business and whatnot. And I show these videos to my mom, and unsurprisingly, she gives me pretty good feedback. But unfortunately, my mom's really not my target audience as much as I love her. So really looking for a more broad perspective of, is the content well produced? Is it interesting? And is it informative? Because I don't want to be I'm not just creating content just to have a channel and have subscribers and whatnot. I want to really add value, and can't provide value if I'm not getting that feedback from the folks that it's meant for.
I have a question. How are you selling your ebook?
I'm not selling it. I'm giving it away, actually.
Give it away over on your YouTube channel?
Actually, the website, my website, just fourpillarsinvestors.com/book.
Okay. And all they have to give you is an email address?
They do. Yep.
Perfect. We just had a guy come speak, and he made $50,000 on his ebook last month. A local Kansas City barber. So I'm obsessing over ebooks a little bit. So you caught my attention with that.
Little plug for Lily and James events, Brad and Nick. I would definitely sign up to go because there's also really cool people that go there too. On the relationship side, Nick, you mentioned payment processing businesses to me the other day. Actually had the same, I had that mentioned to me yesterday as well as someone looking to acquire that. What are some other businesses that you're open to learning more about if someone were to come across it and they would want to refer it to you?
Well, really, I would say any type of business, because at the very least, even if it's not interesting to us, I would love to have a conversation with somebody, and I'll just be upfront and honest. I mean, anytime I talk to a business owner that's referred to me by somebody else, I'm not in sales mode at all. I just want to try and be helpful, because earlier in my career, I tried to be persuasive. Oh, you should sell to us. You shouldn't sell to anybody else, or whatever that persuasive argument might be. And really what I found is that it's a waste of time. My approach now is just try to be helpful to whoever I talk to. And if or let the chips fall where they may.
Cool. Okay, well, that was awesome. You guys are great. It sounds like you guys really can bond over your pet stories too. So that was cool.
Aaron coming in hot off vacation.
Act appropriate. Look who's here.
Oh, boss man's here. Did you just wait to pull up that comment, or did he just 326?
Yeah, he just saw that you were about to act up, so he wanted to jump in, I think, as well.
Yeah, he knew I was going to say something inappropriate.
Anyways, I want to thank both Brad and Nick for coming on today. We really appreciate it. Thank you to Bestway International for sponsoring us. And Scott, as always, thank you for being the most entertaining co-host in Kansas City. You and all those toys. I really appreciate it. We will see you the same time, same place next week. Everybody have a great, Everybody have a great week. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.